Hello and welcome to this video for the last day of Rome. I'm Joel, and today I'm going to be showing you what this game is and how to play it. So let's get started. So, it's a strategy game where we select one of many tribes here and do our best to survive amidst the crumbling Roman Empire. So, some of you, if you're history buffs or fans of strategy titles, might recognize the many tribes available here. All important players in the fall of the Roman Empire. And today we're going to be playing the Franks, because they've got some difficulty suggestions here if you look through all of them. And we're gonna do our best to showcase the game as you'll normally experience it, right? So we're gonna be playing as the Franks. They're one of my absolute favorite tribes. They're fun to play, and yeah. So you know what? We're just gonna get started. So we've got our description here. We've got our difficulty suggestions, we have our victory conditions, we have our strong units, and we are bordered with Rome, unfortunately, or fortunately, just depends on our luck of the draw, shall we say. We are good at plundering towns. We get 50% of the buildings cost whenever we plunder. We get cheaper army upgrades, which, trust me, is huge. It's a really, really big deal. And we get extra iron production, which is what we will be using to upgrade that army of ours. So let's get started, and we'll start to understand what all that means. Loading times, right? It's good. Very good. So now we are at the town screen. We have a lot of words up here, a lot of numbers. I'm going to break these down for you, and how you can make your numbers go up or down, right? That's how the basic mechanics of any strategy title work. So we have our population, we have our number of regions, our number of generals, and the number of regions we need to capture in order to win the game, right? This is our general, our only general, as of this moment, Aldrich. Generals are essentially our units that we move around on the game board once we get to the map screen. So, go ahead and show you the map screen. There's our general, right there. And we can select him by clicking on this banner, but we'll get to that in a minute. Right now, we have a lot of buildings. Cavalry, archers, infantry, generals, the training camp, the market, the iron mine, suburb, recruits, engineer's house, library, and woodcutter's house. It's a lot of stuff, but it's simple, I promise. You're going to pick this up in no time. So we have gold. Gold is a universal resource for which you can buy resources in the building market. Gold can be obtained in the capital suburb. Here's the suburb right here. We can upgrade this, and it's going to have different upgrade requirements as we upgrade it, but that will eventually provide an income. We have science points. These come from the library. At the beginning, we just have 3 research points per turn, and we can improve that with wood. We get wood from the woodcutter's house, which at the moment we're not producing any. This is the most vital thing for us to build, because the library requires wood, the suburb requires wood, the recruits building requires wood, the iron mine requires wood. We need wood. Yeah? So we need to start producing wood. There we go. Let's get that up to level 3. And library's okay. That's not urgent at all. let's see. The iron mine. We definitely want to be producing iron because, as I said, we're going to use that to upgrade our army. We're also going to use it to recruit the majority of our forces, especially starting out. So, we're going to go ahead and upgrade that a couple times while it's cheap. And then recruits. Our recruits are probably one of the most important assets. We're currently producing 513 recruits per turn. How do we spend them? Seems pretty obvious, right? They're how we build an army. They're very, very important. So, recruits are a unique resource which you can't buy for gold. Each turn, you make 1% of the residents of your country become recruits. You can increase the percentage of recruits in the building recruits. So, what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade our suburb. This adds 200,000 to our population. 1% of those will be added to our recruits per turn, right? There we go. Now we look. We're producing 200 more recruits. This is one of the most important things for us to upgrade. And it requires wood. So, we need to upgrade the woodcutter's house, which also requires wood. We're going to be buying a lot of wood, guys. A lot of wood. So, now we get to recruitment. Now that we understand the basics of the economy. Wood, for more wood, for iron, for recruits, for population. Yeah? As we conquer, we will get more population, but in general, this is the economic loop. We produce wood, we spend the wood on the things we really need, like recruits and iron, so we can build an army. So now, let's look at our army, shall we? How do we get one? Well, we can go to the Generals tab here. You can pull it up down here just by clicking on the Open button, or you can click here. So, we have army characteristics. We have our hero parameters. Currently, I've not played the game to the point where I've really upgraded any of my generals very well. I'm still kind of new myself. But here's what we have. We have 4 slots for infantry, 4 slots for cavalry, and 4 slots for archers. And they will produce army characteristics of attack values and defense values. Right? So we recruit those by opening up these recruitment tabs. We can unlock better troop types later on, but right now we have the basic types. These are level 1. They do 18 attack damage. Yeah, you can read the tooltip here. I will do it for you. The base damage that the unit inflicts an attack. During the battle, the units hit each other in turn until one of them loses all of their health. This is their health right here, the number. This is the number of units actually in the unit, right? The number of soldiers. So then we have attack values. The clubsman does 50% damage from the base damage here to other infantry. So in a clubsman fight versus a fight between 2 clubsmen, they're going to be doing 9 damage to each other repeatedly until someone dies. But it very quickly becomes more complicated than that. Once we get into upgrades, different attack values, different rates of damage against different types of units, and I have no idea at the moment the most optimal ways to build. I can show you how to build, but this game gets complex pretty quickly in terms of how to specialize your units. Simple to play, difficult to master is the idea. So let's go ahead and recruit some troops. I'll recruit 1 of each. We have the cavalry here. See their damage types. They're lower number, but they're higher damage, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Then we have archers. Slightly higher base damage, and they definitely have specialties here. Definitely have specialties. So we've recruited enough that we can build an army. As you can see, I click this little plus button. And we just click to add to his army formation. And then we can always X them out if we need to let them hang back for a while, because units can become damaged. And we'll see that naturally in the process. But something that's important, very important here, is the training camp. This is where we can upgrade our troops. And as the Franks, we have very cheap upgrades. So it's almost immediately worth it. So our strongest units are our cavalry. So they're a little more expensive to upgrade. But this is still half the price of what it costs for any of the other tribes to upgrade. So as Franks, we absolutely must upgrade. It's important. It's one of our only big advantages. So let's look at what that means. We're level 1 right now. And so when you start this game, you should always pick your level 1 upgrades right here, because all of your units have them right at the start. So we have increased damage rate to cavalry. That wouldn't be bad at all. We could do that. Or we could make troop formation cost 30% less. Recruits. That's really good, especially right now. We're kind of hurting on recruits, so we should probably do that. And I'll do that on both, because we're going to want a lot of cavalry. And since their numbers, their health number, right, is 1,500 as opposed to 3,000 or 4,000, these guys are going to die a lot. They're going to die a lot. So we're going to want to be able to recruit more as cheaply and efficiently as possible. 30% may not seem like a lot at first, but when you think I might recruit 100 of these units, then you start to see when that's going to pay off, right? So, infantry increases the damage rate to cavalry, increases base damage by 5%. Base damage by 5% is not great for this unit. But because they don't really say exactly how much you need to upgrade, how effective this is, we don't really know which is the better choice until we pick it. So we're just going to pick it because that's how we learn, right? So, I don't know. It's damage rate for all units. It's probably the better upgrade, personally. That's what I'm guessing, but I don't know. We're going to learn that together. Alright, unit upgrades are 30% cheaper. Or military traditions. Increase the base number of units in a troop by 5%. Now, here's where 5% can actually be pretty good. That's going to be 200 units. That's, yeah, absolutely worth it. That could mean the difference between life and death. Alright, so our Marksman unit upgrades are 30% cheaper. Increases damage rate to fortifications. Damage rate to fortifications is already really good. I'm going to go ahead and take the cheaper upgrades. And I'll go ahead and, again, take troop formation cost 30% less. If only we had upgraded our troops before we recruited the first 6 units. That's something to keep in mind when you first start the game. Be better than I was, right? So let's go ahead and fill out the rest of our forces. We'll recruit the rest of our cavalry, since they're our best units. And that's all we got. We are we're broke. We don't really have much in the way of recruits anymore. That said, we're going to produce some wood and some iron, and things will be looking better for us. So let's go to the map. This is the map. It is still early days yet. We don't really have, there's going to be a lot added to this game to improve it. And early access, guys, this game is still in development, still very much in development, and new stuff is going to be happening all the time. I know personally that these guys are going to be working on this every day. 5 days a week, every day adding new stuff. I've actually been to the studio. I've met the guys there. They're hard workers. They're talented developers. And that's why I'm here talking to you right now, telling you, buy the game. It's good. But all right. So, we have our map now. We are right here. These are our borders. And these are our neighbors. Here's the Roman Empire, which we share a border with. We can see troop formations all across the map. These are these banners here. These are generals. Yeah? So, the Roman general is way over here. We're up here. We might actually be able to attack Rome before they can even do anything about it. Plunder some of this rich Roman clay. So, but should we? Because let's go ahead and start to figure out what all these numbers mean, right? So, if we look here, this is our population. And these are fortifications and workers. I'm going to go ahead and, click on the region, bring it up. Now we have a different system here. This is the region screen for Flevum, where we have buildings and workers, and we can upgrade our town. That's going to cost wood, which we don't have any of at the moment. But you can see here, we can upgrade a sawmill, mines, schools. But each of these will upgrade population, but not as much as going into the town screen. But it allows us to have cheaper upgrades all over the map instead of just in our capital. So, now we look, we've got another capital here, and another capital here. These would significantly improve our population. Might be worth attacking. Their army is small. They have no fortifications to speak of. Whereas these regions, they're small and undeveloped. Low pop. So, how far can we go, guys? One unit outside of our borders. That's as far as we can go. So that way you guys can get used to the movement mechanics. So how far can you expect an enemy general to travel? How far are we able to travel? That's important. So I'm not sure as of this moment how far we can travel within our own borders. I just know how far we can travel outside of our borders. Just the nearest clay, the nearest tile, right? So we're going to go to Erigelia here and attack. We will be attacking the Longobardi. We have, this shows our comparison, right? So we have 3 regions. We are 49th in economy, 5th in army. They're 24th in economy, 39th in army. They have 1 region, no allies, not participating in any wars. So we're going to go ahead and attack them. Now we have the siege here. It will be in 2 turns. This gives them a chance to build an army. They might even attack us before the siege begins. But we're going to go ahead and finish the turn and see what happens. They built some troops. And now it's time for the siege. We click this button to start the siege, or this button, either way. But let's see, we have more recruits now. We might actually be able to add to our general's army. Let's see. He needed infantry and archers. So let's go ahead and recruit some infantry. That's all we got. So now we can add with this autofill button right here. Now we go to the map. City siege is ready. We can count their number of units right here. It looks like they have 3 in this city and 4 on this general. We'll start the siege. And now we see 6 units on the Longobardi. We can see their level, their base attack value, and their numbers. And we can see the same on our side. So we need to try to match up our units against units that they have a good chance against. So, looking at the cavalry, they do 65% of their base damage against cavalry. We do 88 with this unit. That means we would very clearly win this battle, 100%. But we also do significantly more damage against these clubsmen than they do against us. Our cavalry are strong, but our lancers do even more damage against the clubsmen. So, we'll pair these lancers up against the clubsmen and pair the rider up against the lancer. Or, even better, we can pair this hunter up against the lancer. Boom. Okay, so we had our attack phase where we chose, and then they chose. See, they have these really strong units against cavalry, which they just use to finish off a couple of our wounded cavalry units. That sucks for us, but our cavalry are cheaper for us to recruit in terms of actual number of recruits we need to spend on them. So now, they only have hunters and marksmen left. So let's find out who are our strongest units against those. Here they are, right here, 75%. These guys are both at full health, so we can go ahead and send them in. And then our next strongest unit would probably be this guy, but he's wounded. So we'll send this guy, who's not wounded. And we win. Now we have the victory screen, which shows the number of damage we did versus the number of damage they did. And now, if we click here on Aldrich, sorry, that's actually wrong. If we click here, I'm very sorry, we'll see our remaining troops. If we go to the general's screen, that's what I was looking for. We will see here, this is not translated yet, it will be translated, the number of recruits required to reinforce our units, our wounded units, and the number of gold required. How do we get gold? Upgrades. How do we get recruits? Suburbs and recruits here. So it's going to take us a little time a little time. We have 950 wood. We can upgrade our suburb. We can upgrade our recruits. Get us up over 1,000. You'll notice our numbers went up once we secured a new region for ourselves considerably, from 700 to 900. The more clay, the more board tiles you take on the map here, the more money, more recruits you'll have. So, this added 200,000 to us. It's really good. Really, really, really good. We could take this for 200,000 more. But they're very strong. These are one of the actual player factions here. So we're going to want to be very careful and not get ourselves in any trouble that we can't get ourselves out of. Right now, our army is weak. We need to make some gold. How do we do that? By selling our